its Sinization campaign, the large-scale restrictions are imposed in the monasteries with a complete denial of the freedom of the religion, and our million young Tibetans children have been forcefully enrolled in the colonial-style boarding school across Tibet. Under the guise of promoting the national common language, the use and the teaching of the Tibetan language is severely restricted. The Chinese government's unchecked mining and the construction projects have irrevocably caused extensive damage to the Tibetan natural environment with a severe implication far beyond its border. All these acts and the practices of China defies not only international and the domestic law, but even the basic human values. Tibetans, nurtured by the far-sighted vision and unwavering compassion of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, have not harbored hatred or animosity towards the Chinese Communist government that has occupied our land and caused the untimely death of more than 1.2 million Tibetan peoples and the destruction of our 6,000 monasteries. As envisioned by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Tibetan people remain committed to the path of non-violence and dialogue in finding the lasting and the mutually beneficial solution to resolve the Sino-Tibet conflict through the middle way approach. It also reaffirms our confidence that Tibetan people, the rightful custodian of the Tibetan plateau since its formation, embody the unique religion and the cultural traditions that cannot be erased, an indomitable spirit that cannot be broken, and the unparalleled leadership of His Holiness the Dalai Lama that cannot be replaced. Kasha's official statement last year on His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Tibetan Democracy Day, and the conferment day of the Nobel Peace Prize to His Holiness the Dalai Lama briefly highlighted the 3 out of 4 principal commitments. On this occasion, Kasha would like to highlight it on His Holiness commitment, which is to revive ancient Indian wisdom. After His Holiness the Dalai Lama devolved his political power to the elected leader, His Holiness began to focus more on the 4 commitments, which includes revival of the ancient Indian wisdom. The revival of ancient Indian wisdom is not simply reviving a particular religion or a religious tradition. Rather, His Holiness considered the importance of balancing the external material progress with inner spiritual growth based on the ancient wisdom. His Holiness believed that the Tibetans who have safeguarded and practiced this knowledge for generations can contribute to the revival as an act towards India. Tibetan language has preserved extensive collection of ancient Indian knowledge, both in quality and quantity, that is unmatched in any other language. Approximately 50,000 Indian classical text has been translated into Tibetan, the result of dedicated effort by the Indian and the Tibetan scholars and the translator over many centuries. This includes the 5 major sciences: grammar, Tibetan medicine, arts, Buddhist logic, and Buddhist philosophy, as well as the 5 minor sciences: poetry, performing arts, lexicography, composition, and the mathematics and the astrology, comprising 10 fields of the knowledge. There are not only a large number of translated texts, but the Tibetan scholars have also written extensive commentaries on this work. His Holiness the Dalai Lama's effort towards the revival of the ancient wisdom has impacted, including the analytical thinking based on logic and the sea learning, which was introduced and implemented in more than 170 countries, including the 100,000 schools across India. Central Institute of the Higher Studies in Varanasi has published 355 books, including 80 works restored from Tibet to Sanskrit, 16-volume Tibetan Sanskrit dictionary, 4-volume medical dictionary, and has over 1,000 students from the Himalayas region. The Dalai Lama Institute for the Higher Studies in Bangalore provides education in the Tibetan studies and the various modern subjects primarily to the Tibetan and Himalayan students. Sara College for Higher Tibetan Studies also provided a 1-year course in the Buddhist logic, secular ethics, Buddhist science and philosophy to not only Tibetan and Indian students, but also to the foreign students. The Library of the Tibetan Archives in Dharamsala conduct Tibetan language classes, 6-year Buddhist study program, and a science workshop. And similarly, the International Nalanda University program at the Tibet House, Delhi, has been attended over by 6,000 students from 91 countries through its degree program and short-term training courses. There are a number of the Tibetan Buddhist centers around the world serving Buddha Dharma, and the Office of Tibet, CTA, coordinates and work closely towards the fulfillment of commitment of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His Holiness the Dalai Lama assigned special responsibility to his close associates and the monastic scholars, resulting in the successful compilation and the publication of 12 parts compilation of the Buddhist science and a 9-part compilation of Buddhist philosophy. These works are being translated into English and other languages. For reviving the ancient Indo-Tibet philosophical and the Buddhist tradition, the Dalai Lama Institute for Indian and the Ancient Wisdom is being established at the sacred site of Bodh Gaya, open to interested people worldwide. There are just some examples of efforts made to revive the ancient Indian culture. Marx maintained that the oppressed nationalities have the right to self-determination, and he opposes the national oppression and national exploitation, and while criticizing nationalism. However, the Chinese Communist Party have turned its back on its founder's ideology and forcefully imposed the fabricated concept of Chinese nationhood on all its ethnic groups, including the Tibetan people. Tibetans are politically treated as a second lower class citizen, requiring constant surveillance in all their activity, day and night. Tibetan children are forced to learn Chinese language and communist ideology.